Surfing got its start in California in 1885 in Santa Cruz. The first surfboards were carved redwood trees, and over the years, boards have evolved, and now you can even go green while riding the waves and help protect our oceans. We headed to Monterey to check out a place that's creating high-performance, sustainable surfboards to see how they're made.
Malachi, super stoked to be here at Route 1 Surfboards. And as a fellow surfer, I love the work that you guys are doing here. But you and I both know that not all surfboards are environmentally friendly. So how are you guys shaping boards here that are sustainable?
Well, the boards that we build here are a little bit more sustainable because of the process that we use, the materials that we use, and the waste control from the product itself. That's what makes this board more sustainable than another board.
And speaking of the materials used, you guys use some really unique sort of outside the box materials. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, well, it starts actually in the blank itself. So we use two different types of foams, and the goal is to try to take the offcuts of the foam, recycle it, and turn it into more products. The second is the actual resins and materials that we use to coat the boards. We use a sandwich construction, and the way we put those two materials together, we use a resin, and replacing some of those parts of the resin with plant-based products makes that more sustainable. It's also much lower VOC than a normal resin that you would see. And the third component is actually the cloth that we use. Whenever you can replace fiberglass cloth with a plant-based product like flax or a flaxseed cloth, you're really taking that whole process and you're breaking it down into little parts and making it more sustainable for the consumer.
So you're telling me that flaxseed could potentially be in one of my surfboards?
Absolutely.
So tell me about the Ecoboard Project.
The Ecoboard Project is really interesting. It's a group from San Francisco called Sustain Surf. And what they did is they created a way to monitor and certify the boards that we build, kind of like if you're buying something organic from the grocery store, the stamp. They've created a program to monitor what we do and certify it as sustainable. And then we pay them for every board to come and certify the factory and the materials we do here, and they stamp them all, and we have different levels. And then beyond that, they have another program called Sea Trees, where we also plant trees in the ocean, rejuvenate coral reefs, and replenish the kelp forest that we have here in Monterey Bay based on the work that we do here.
I'd love to hear about what inspired you to start a surfboard company.
And I think that the root of it actually maybe comes from my dad. You know, he's such a builder at heart, and he saw what I was going through maybe at the time, which isn't that big of a deal, but I broke a board and I needed to replace it. He said, you know what, you can build this. This is something that you can do.
Well, I'd love to see how one of these eco boards are made. Can you show us the facility and describe the process?
Yes, actually it starts in our cutting room where we collect all of the waste. There's engineering, cutting, and then it comes in here, and this is actually the shaping bay. So this is stop 2 for one of these boards. So where we are here, this is the laminating room.
Wow, look at that.
And what Bobby is doing here is he's laminating the bottom side of one of our boards. So this is where it gets its first layer of cloth, logos, and it gets the resins that we use. And the process that we use is actually highly modified for the materials. We have a different process that we've made here to use the materials that we use. The materials we're using here are those plant-based resins, the entropy resins that you see over there in the tub, and he's going to apply them to the bottom side of the surfboard. What you see above is the flax cloth that we've been using.
This is the flax that we just talked about?
That's actually flaxseed woven into a cloth.
Wow.
From here, it gets another layer of lamination. It gets baked in the oven that you see over here in the corner, and then it goes to the hot coat room, which is behind us. So this over here is our hot coat room. You can enter.
Oh wow, it is actually hot in here. This is like a sauna, dude.
Here, yeah. In here we have a temperature controlled environment. It's radiant heat with no dust, no wind, and this is where we put the final coat on a board. This will cure overnight, and then this will go again back in the hot box where all the materials will mold together at 120 degrees for 4 hours, specifically that amount of time. Once it leaves the hot box, it goes into the next stage, which is sanding. So Ross, this is the final stage of the process. This is the sanding room.
Wow, this board is rad.
So what happens in here is we'll take down that fine finish that you saw coming out of the hot coat room, and this will be sanded and finished to the final spec of the board.
If someone's out there looking for a surfboard, how do they know if it's Ecoboard certified?
You can look for this stamp right here.
There it is.
Ecoboard certified. They're all serial numbered and stamped, so each one of them, you know, it's the real deal.
Right on, Malachi. Well, thank you so much for having me in today. I look forward to catching some waves together soon.
Let's do it.
Awesome, buddy.